This homeless cat and its deserted owner became sworn companions. But when a family decided they would want to adopt the dog on its own, a touching scenario happened, bringing the whole town to tears. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. A little town in South Carolina was teeming with life as its residents worked to recover from the storm season. Many had lost loved ones, but they had made new friends in the community. Luckily, this new equilibrium did not simply apply to individuals. The natural calamity had left many dogs homeless and abandoned, but the community had informally adopted some of them, including this dog. She was well known in the neighborhood since, at the start of the season, she had become pregnant and had been seen rummaging among the trash in quest of food to survive. People in the neighborhood have begun to feel sorry for her and give her their leftovers. She made an abandoned building her home and would frequently be found waiting for kids to come play with her outside. The residents of the village were aware of her daily schedule and made sure to provide her food each day. Aisha, a local lady, went to the building one day to bring her lunch. To give the adorable dog courage for giving birth, she had brought leftover steak. She heard a commotion as she continued down the road that led to the structure. It was as if someone had choked her, and it caused her blood to freeze. She hurried up the steps and inside the structure. She was met with a startling scene there. The dog was attempting to give birth and was coated in filth. Aisha could see her kid's damp fur protruding from her body. The dog growled in terror the moment she approached and attempted to grasp her. Aisha was worried, so she left the meal and went to the hospital to locate a veterinarian. She said hello to Dr. Amir and said that she required assistance for an abandoned dog that was going to give birth on the outskirts of the town. Luckily, it was a calm day at the hospital, so Dr. Amir gathered all the supplies required to help with the birth, put them in a truck, and accompanied her to the structure. The dog became really angry when he went to approach her, but he was able to calm her down. His heart ached for the unfortunate dog as he realized the first pup that had emerged had been stillborn. However, she still carried puppies that required his assistance. He helped the dog through the birth, but when he learned that the other dogs in the litter had also perished, his heart sank even more. He scooped up the mother dog and carried her to his car when she had settled down on the ground. Aisha and Dr. Amir drove back to the hospital, where the dog received emergency care. She was covered with fleas, terribly emaciated, and dehydrated. Dr. Amir restored her health and assisted Aisha in burying the pups. After learning about the puppies, the town's residents visited the dog in an attempt to console her following such a harrowing experience. Gradually, Dr. Amir became aware of the dog's melancholy and lack of activity. Rather than stay with the other hospital animals, she would have chosen to be by herself. When Aisha visited to see how she was doing, she observed the same thing. After discussing the situation with her and Dr. Amir, they made the decision to acquire the dog something that would bring her joy. They then went door to door in the neighborhood asking for toys. Many were more than willing to give up some worn-out toys so the dog could have fun. Bringing the toys to her, Aisha and Dr. Amir waited nervously, hoping she might break out of her shell. The dog emerged from her crate and sniffed at the toys, then quickly started to play with them. It pleased both Aisha and Dr. Amir to see her thrilled once again. Even though they understood that this solution couldn't last, they pledged to support her throughout her recuperation. They were content to see her wag her tail again for the time being, though. Dr. Amir let her to go for walks in order to strengthen her limbs as she started to heal. Many in the neighborhood, particularly the kids, were relieved to see her back in action, and some even left food for her to eat while she was out and about. During one of her excursions, the dog visited her former residence and waited for her puppies to emerge by sitting in front of the door. She heard a sound she wasn't anticipating while she waited. She entered the building cautiously and saw that there was another renter. A helpless kitten needed assistance to escape from a hole. The dog attempted to poke her head through the opening, but it was too small for her to be able to save the kitten on her own. The dog then barked hysterically and raced right into town. Some folks walked outside to see what was going on as they questioned why she was rushing and barking. Dr. Amir noticed the dog running into the hospital and starting to bark even more. Thinking she was feeling under the weather again, he attempted to talk her into going into the examination room, but she refused. He was unable to grasp what she was trying to say. Aisha also hurried into the hospital a little while after that. Observing the dog sprinting towards the town, she pondered over the situation. Dr. Amir was at a loss for words as the dog continued to bark and scratch at the door. Aisha realized then that the dog wanted to follow her wherever she went. Putting his supplies in the vehicle, the veterinarian trailed the dog and soon realized they were going to the building where she had given birth. When they got there, they followed the dog's instructions to go to the hole where the kitten had been seen. Using his illumination, Dr. Amir was able to see the small creature trapped inside. He removed his shawl and gloves, picked up the cat with care and covered it with the shawl. The dog entered the rear seat of his automobile and took a guard position as soon as he got back there. Dr. Amir returned to the hospital by car to give the cat a quick examination. The dog would not get away from the kitten and circled about him. The kitten was put to sleep in a little box by Dr. Amir, and the dog sat next to it, keeping an eye on it. Afterwards, a few locals approached Dr. Amir to inquire about the cause of the dog's barking and running. The veterinarian pointed them toward the dog's location next to the box. Upon closer inspection, they discovered that the object was actually a kitten. The poor animal, according to Dr. Amir, was an orphan in dire need of affection and attention. Luckily, it seems to have made a wonderful companion in the dog. The onlookers were in amazement of what they saw, how the dog was fussing and loving on the kitten and wouldn't leave it. This time, the adoptive mother had taken in a kitten instead of her lost puppies. The dog became even more protective of the small cat over the course of the following several days. She would watch the entire interaction, hovering over Dr. Amir's shoulder whenever he brought in milk. The kitten then grew to be inseparable from the dog. The two started going on walks together as soon as the kitten could stand and walk by itself. The villagers found it rather touching to witness the dog take in a fresh puppy as her own. The shop owners put a bowl of milk outside for the new pair of strays, and the dog went back to her daily habit of visiting the establishment to obtain food and play with the kids. Observing the animals' interactions, customers were enthralled with what they observed. While they were eating, some people snapped photographs of them playing, and many others watched out for them as they crossed the street. Dr. Amir only made a few daily visits to offer food and milk to the couple during the following several days since he was preoccupied with other animal patients. However, he once happened across a scene that instantly warmed his heart. The dog was resting on her side, and the small cat was curled up against her tummy, taking a gentle meal from her. Even though he was aware that animals occasionally rear offspring of various species, he was nonetheless astonished. The dog had lost her puppies, but she was still nursing because she had been pregnant. As an orphan, the kitten had found the much-needed mother in her. The image was endearing, particularly in the middle of the mayhem brought on by storm season. Love managed to triumph even in the midst of chaos and disorder. Though he felt it would be best for the dog and kitten to meet their owners, Dr. Amir was delighted with what he witnessed. He started by contacting Aisha, who had brought the dog to the clinic, to let her know he had a suggestion for where the animals may go. Aisha offered to assist him in finding one because she felt it was a brilliant idea. She replied that she was unable to adopt the animals at this time when he inquired if she would be interested in doing so. She still needed to get back on her feet, but the natural tragedy had taken too much out of her. Then, Dr. Amir recalled a colleague who frequently helped adopt strays and potential adoptive families. He made contact with him and said he was searching for a home for his dog and kitten. For the purpose of showing reliable friends, the co-worker asked for a photo of the animals. Dr. Amir promptly sent one along with a message inquiring as to if they may be adopted together. The co-worker did, however, omit a crucial element when he posted the photos online: the possibility of adopting both animals at once. A few days later, he gave Dr. Amir a call to let him know that the dog had an adoptive home. Excited, Dr. Amir requested this person's contact details so he could give them a call right away. The man informed him that his family was thrilled by the image after seeing it. Dr. Amir was pleased at the possibility of having a furry pet with them. He made an appointment and inquired when they would want to meet. He contacted Aisha on a whim, telling her he had perhaps found a new home for both dogs. The meeting day finally arrived. Amir got ready to meet the dog and cat's potential new owners after washing and brushing them. He greeted them warmly as they entered his office. He questioned them and conducted a little background investigation. There were 4 people in the family: the parents, their daughter, and their son. Aisha was thrilled by the small girl's joyful expression as she expressed her excitement about getting a pet. After a little while, Dr. Amir cleared them to visit the animals. The daughter fell in love with the kitten the moment she laid eyes on it, but her parents informed her that they had come for the dog, not the cat. But Dr. Amir informed them that he was looking for a family to adopt both of the animals. They hadn't seen it in the advertisement, the mother retorted. The animals, she maintained, were kept apart and only desired the dog. The parents persisted, and even though Dr. Amir wasn't sure what to do, he gave in to their request. The dog began to growl just as he was ready to remove the cat. She resisted his attempts to place a collar around her neck. He attempted to inform her that the kitten would be joining a new home, but the dog refused to let it go. After deciding to let the cat to remain in the room while the preparations were made, Dr. Amir was able to finally secure the leash around the dog's neck. However, the dog struggled with him as he attempted to drag her away, and the kitten also made an attempt to get in the path of them. It was an impressive sight. The dog continued to yelp and whine, and the little cat, despite her little size and gentle nature, attempted to defend her closest buddy. It shattered Dr. Amir's heart. At last, he gave up and released the leash. The dog fled from people as soon as possible, taking the kitten with him. Aisha calmed their concerns by running after them. She was on the verge of tears as she saw the animals' acts of devotion and affection. Even though those 2 spirits had lost everyone else in the world, their companionship brought them comfort. It was just impossible to keep them apart. Aisha was aware that this criterion might complicate their adoption, though. After witnessing everything that had transpired, the family was equally amazed by the evident relationship between the 2 creatures. They still didn't believe they could accept both of them because taking care of one pet was already too much. However, the daughter persisted and asked if they might also adopt the kitty. She assured them that she would handle everything herself and that forcing the dog and cat to say their final goodbyes would be too harsh. They were obviously infatuated with one another, and she wanted the best for them both. Regarding this, the parents were unsure. After deliberating among themselves for a short while, they ultimately decided to accept it. They went back to Dr. Amir's office and informed him that they would like to adopt both the kitten and the dog. The news thrilled the veterinarian. When the dog approached him when he went to retrieve the animals, he gave her a treat to calm her down. The children were then taken to see the animals by him. While the son was petting the dog, the daughter went to rub the kitten. Dr. Amir and the parents finished the adoption paperwork as the children played with their new pets. A new family has been found by the animals. They gave their consent when he requested to snap a photo of them. When he was finished, he walked the family and their newcomers over to the vehicle. This time, realizing that her closest buddy was accompanying her, the dog let herself be drawn by the leash without even barking. The veterinarian quietly wiped away his tears and waved them off. Aisha didn't even bother to cover hers up next to him. Knowing that those 2 kind spirits had found a new family and home warmed her heart. Aisha pledged to inform the rest of the community after thanking Dr. Amir for finding them a new family. She stopped people on the street on her way home to tell them about the entire experience. The news thrilled the residents, and when she explained how the little cat had shielded the dog, they all felt their hearts melt. A few people started crying because they knew they would miss watching the strange couple go down the street. The kids were depressed over their lost pals, but Aisha reassured them that new companions would arrive soon enough. The town was still teeming with homeless people in need of affection. She said the dog and cat's determination on being together was a reflection of their community's beliefs, which were so ingrained in looking out for one another. Even though the homeless cat and abandoned dog had found a place to live, their community's job was far from over. They were all set for another tale of salvation. What a touching story of bravery and friendship. If you learned that the pet you wanted to adopt could only go with you if you brought a companion, how would you respond? Leave a comment below to let us know. I appreciate you seeing. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.